pay my homage to the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. I would like to pay my high respect to all Venerable Mahasangha, dear lay devotee, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dhammika Live Dhammasantana. Today we will discuss on the topic mothering a child. So our topic will also discuss based on the Buddhism perspective, and let's see how the Buddha teach us how to be a good parent, how to raise them to be in physical and mental. So stay with us around 1 and 15 minutes from now on. I am Kunti. I will be a moderator with Sister Supir, and Dhammika Live Dhammasantana will always live every Friday at 9 o'clock in Cambodian time and at 7 o'clock in the Seattle, USA. So in the show we have 4 speakers, and we have a Sri Lady, and we have one venerable monk. And Sister Supir will introduce all the speakers. And I would like to pay my respect to Venerable Soktivi, who is the founder of Dhammika Live Dhammasantana. And I am really honored to be here as a moderator with Sister Supir. So Sister Supir, please take the floor.
Thank you so much, Sister Kuntir, and good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to pay my homage to the Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. I would like to thank to all Ponte, Dhamma friends, ladies and gentlemen, for spending time with us tonight for our Dhamma talks on mothering a child from Buddhist perspective. What does the Buddha teach about mothering children? I believe many people, especially the mother themselves, would know much about how to raise children. But from Buddha perspective, that may be something you all would like to learn more. So, how can we become a good parent from Buddhist perspective? What are the duties of the parents, and how do we raise children to grow physically and mentally well? This question will be answered by our speakers tonight. And therefore, I would like to introduce our speaker for tonight. We have 4 speakers in this, 3 lady and 1 Pante. So first, I would like to introduce Ponte Kasapa Honkamra. Ponte is the Executive Director of the International Cambodian Buddhist Center, based in Sri Lanka. But currently, Ponte is staying at Vipassana Thura Buddhist Center in Udon of Cambodia. Ponte is also a meditation trainer who kindly share meditation technique to all lay people recently. And second, we have our speaker, Sister Natimons. Welcome to the show. Natimons, she's an educator at Panyasastra University of Cambodia. She's quite young, but what I'm impressed about her, she's also the founder of the Women in Buddhism Association that have been educating about Dhamma, and also especially raising the role of women in Buddhism. So welcome to the show, Natimons. Second speaker, we have again our speaker, Sister Sakontem. Good, I think it's good morning over there, Sister Sakon. Yes, so Sister Sakon, she's a social worker specialist for Department Social and Service for the state of Washington. And the last speaker, Sister Jenny Kim. Good morning over there. It's a good evening already in Cambodia. So Sister Jenny, she have been working with children for many years in various roles. But currently, she's a stay-at-home mom with two boys. One is 10 years old and the other is 6 months. So welcome to the show, all speaker and contact. I think without further delay, I would like to hand to Sister Contier to start with our Dhamma discussion, please.
Thank you, Supir. Thank you very much. So if all the listeners have any comment or have any question, you can ask as you can leave your comment or question here. So our topic today is so the first question will be teacher who have experience with raising children. So the first question is, what are the good practice or any experience in mothering that you have experienced before? So let's see from Sister Sakon.
Forgot to mute myself. Good morning, everyone, and and my respect to Venerable Gasapat and Venerable Saktipi, who is our Dhammika founder. And thank you for having me this morning. And so Oh, and let me just give a little my respect to the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And so there's so many good practices in mothering a child. So I always make sure that getting all the nurturing, such as providing all the basic needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, and education and medical needs. And then the most very extreme important is giving our child all the love and support and guidance that they need, and show them that they are there for them, but not control them, as they need to explore things, on their own in order to gain wisdom. I always communicate with my child consistently, as this is when I have the bonding closeness moment with them. So I believe having open communications is a bridge connection to increase their social skills and boost their self-esteem, as they are tended to be more confident as they get older. By helping our child to have good communication skills, a child would not be afraid to express their feelings and not afraid to speak up, to ask for help, or stand up for themselves. So when they're in trouble, a child being able to verbally communicate well is the key to success in this world anyway. So we practice, and also we try to practice and set good examples for them when they are around, such as, communicating each other nicely instead of, yelling or screaming each other. And then when we promise to do something, we make sure we stick with our words. And practice doing good deeds in front of them, such as going to the temple, making donations for a good cause. Try to cook healthy foods and, exercising, taking them to the parks, beaches, or, camping or ride bikes with them. And having a reading sessions together. All these good examples are good for them physically, spiritually, and practice them loving kindness, generosity, and social skills. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Sakon. Yes, it's really interesting, and you have raised about being a good example. It's really it's something like a role model. So it's really good for mother to act as being what you want to see your children to be, so you do first. So it's move to Sister Jenny. So please share with us your experience. What is your experience how to raise your child?
Sure, thank you. First, I'd like to pay my respect and homage to the Triple Gem and give my thanks to Venerable Kassapa and Sok Devi for inviting me to be part of this discussion. For me, practicing mindfulness, appreciative joy, and gratitude all comes into how best to model your behavior with your children. Just like you said, Mom Kuntia and Sakan, that we have to be their role models. They look to us to understand how we should behave in society. But at first, it starts with the home. It starts with us. So how we want our children to behave, we've got to show them. And mothering can be very hard and can be stressful at times. And so having these practices in mindfulness and in meditation and in appreciative joy and gratitude can ground us there. Because for me, when you're practicing in gratitude and appreciative joy, our mind is then focused on the good things that we have in front of us, that we have a roof over our head, that we have food on the table, and we're not so occupied with worrying about what we don't have or worrying about what other people have and that we don't. And a lot of the time when we go into that mode of thinking of being worried, we begin to stress, and that stress then becomes, it comes outward, and that stress, our children pick up on that. We often don't realize it, but that's where practice in mindfulness becomes very important, because we need to be aware of the things that bring us stress. And once we become aware of that, then we know how to alleviate that stress. And that alleviation, that stress factor, could be different for all of us. So it's very important for us not to compare ourselves to other people, because we have to take the time to get to know what triggers us. We all come from a different experience. What triggers me may not trigger for other folks. And so when we model that behavior, our children become that way too. And at first, when they're very young, they don't express it in a way. But my 10-year-old, till this day, sometimes he'll just tell me, "Oh, I love you, Mom," or "Thank you, Mom," or gratitude, because he sees me being grateful and thankful to my husband, right? I'm also grateful and thankful for him, for my son, for being very flexible, especially with this COVID thing. So when we practice it, sometimes as parents, we have this kind of ego driven, authoritative driven, where what we say goes. But oftentimes we also expect respect from our children, but we got to show it. We got to show them what it means to be respectful. And so we got to treat our children with respect as well. One important thing, children, young children at least, and I think older kids, teens as well. I'm not there yet, so I don't want to talk too much about raising teenagers. But for young children, it's really important to play with them. One of the best way to teach them anything, from my experience with working with children, is to play. And when you play with them, you really get to understand your children. You really get to understand how they think, how they view this world. And you realize that they are their own individual. Bangsa Khan really made a good point that we cannot control them per se. And the Buddha teaches us that the only thing that we can control is ourselves. So with our children, we have to remember that they're their own their own beings, their own people. They're going to come across their love, and their passion is going to be very different from what we know of. And a lot of the times, as parents or as mothers, we kind of project kind of ourselves onto them. And it's very, very important to kind of to remember that they're their own beings, and practicing, Buddhism and non-attachment, the practice of non-attachment. That's where it plays that role, because then we don't succumb to this like need or this desire for them to be what we think they should be. They'll find out. As long as you give them that love, as long as you give them that support, as long as you are showing them and role modeling good behavior, good attitude, good mind, good actions and good deeds, they'll eventually will confidently go into this world knowing what they want and being happy for themselves and also which comes out into the community and their friends and their family as well.
Thank you, Sister Jenny. It's a really rich of experience you have. Really similar to Bonsakon, that you also really focus on the mental health, like you raise about the mindful of the parent who should not be react like stressfully to the child, because it will be copied. The child will be copied from your action. It's and also gratitude. Yes, gratitude is really should in the heart of the children to make them think good, do good, and respect others. Yes, it is really a good behavior. And yes, beside the physical, like Bonsakon raised about to give them food, basic needs, shelter, clothes, it is support their physically and also support them as the mentally as well. So thank you very much for the two ladies who share your experience how to raise the good practice for raising the child. So move to the next question. Sophia, please, your turn.
Thank you, Sister Kuntia, and thank you our two speakers earlier, Sister Sakon and Sister Jenny. I grab a very good insight from both of you. I like Jenny's message about being mindful, practicing mindful with children. In a way that we can teach children as well, and especially you make a very good point, which I often come across a lot when we say modeling, being the model of your children, or being the model of your behavior, so that the children can learn from ourselves. Indeed, we have heard a lot, in our daily business, that being the model for the younger generation, etc. But rarely I heard like someone who tell that being the model of your behavior to the children. So I learned a great deal today. I hope our audience also learned today that when we talk publicly, trying to set a model to younger generation, what does it mean? It also means that start from ourselves, being the model for your own children is very key for certain development. So thank you so much. And before I move to the next question to our speaker, I just want to emphasize that indeed today our discussion is about mothering a child. So it sounds like, well, to raise the child is only the role of the mother. No, it does not mean that. The father also have the role to play. But indeed, we have our great speaker who the mother of themselves, and we want to share a good tip to all mother in the world, that like given that you are close to the children the most, and this practice can also share by the father who are listening right now, learning the tip in a way to raise children together as a parent. The role of raising the children is the role of the parent, not just the mother. Although our topic today is to benefit many women around the world. Yes. So come next. I would like to turn to Nathingnon. You have very good knowledge about child development, and following our last week discussion as well in Khmer language. You share us a great deal about the child development. So again, can you share with us, are there any barriers to child development, both physically and mentally, please?
Yes, thank you very much for asking me this question. So first of all, I would like to pay my homage to the Triple Gems, the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. I would like to pay my high respect to Venerable Sir, Sokthevi, and Venerable Kassapa. Yes, so to answer that question, I will talk about the child development with the 5 development skills that the children develop mentally, yes, related to knowledge. And before talking about the development, I will talk about the barrier that prevent children from developing both physically and mentally. So for the physically, it related to the nutrition that provide to children can be food or milk that is from the mother. Some breast milk does not have enough nutrition because of the mother. She does not eat proper food. That like last week when we spoke in Khmer, I also mentioned about the story that exerted from the Buddhist story, that when the wife of the millionaire who was pregnant, and the father who told the servant that make sure the food is not too salty, not too sweet, not too hot, not too cold, and not too sour. So if the mother does not eat proper food, it can affect to the child development because the child gets the breast milk from the mother. One more thing that is important, especially for the developing country and for the people in rural area that need to understand, is about hygiene. Hygiene is very important. Some parents, when they go to work, they leave the children at home, and kids like to play with the soil that is dirty. Sometimes play with mud that contain a lot of bacteria that can cause health problem to the children. So for hygiene, we should pay attention closely to the hygiene of children. And one most important thing is about when the mother has pregnancy, she should have got the proper vaccination that is required by doctor, and need to have a health check regularly. So when the child is born, the children will be developing accordingly. So this is about the developing of physical, and for mental, it can be many forms of the problem that can cause this kind of problem. It can be the gene, or it can be the karma from the last birth. So for the gene, sometimes the children have the gene of slow developing, or has the gene of problem with mental health, or sometimes because the parents don't pay attention to the child's developing of mentally. Like some parents are very aggressive. They talk to the children really loud and not talk nicely. So it can affect to the mental of the children. This is very useful thing that parents should focus. Yeah, like Sister Ginny said, we should do meditation, practice mindfulness to spread this kindness to the children, because it can affect to the children mental development as well. So according to the mental development, I will talk about the development in 5 skills. One is cognitive development, that is about the ability to learn. So the children, the process from 8 weeks, from 8 months, the children develop their learning skill differently. And second one is emotional development. For example, like when the baby is 6 weeks old, they smile when they hear the sound of the music, or like this, they cry when they hear the sad song, something like that, because they develop the emotional skill. The third one is speech and language development. That is when they are 12 months old, they start to speak their first word. For example, can be mother, father, mommy, mama, papa, or something like that. And yeah, for the fourth and the fifth is about the physical development. Yeah, that related to the development here. That is called fine motor skill, related to the small muscle that the kids start to practice using it. For example, like holding the spoon, holding something small materials. Yes, can be pen, pencil. Yes, and number 5 is called cross motor skill. That is, for example, when the kid is 6 months old, they start to use their big muscle, like start to sit up, or start to, when they are 12 months old, they start to stand up, hold the thing, and start to learn to walk. So these are the developing process that parents should pay attention, both physically and mentally. And if there are some problem with that, they need to check again about the previous thing that I mentioned is nutrition, hygiene, and yeah, like the emotion of the parents. So for one more thing that I mentioned earlier is about karma. If the kid have a previous karma that is unwholesome, so we cannot change the karma, but parents should try their best to help children develop both physically and mentally. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timon, for sharing a very useful insight related to the children development, and you have highlighted both the physical and mental health development, and the 5 development skills that you have shared, including cognitive development, emotional, speech, or physical development, and cross muscle skill, etc. Here is very useful, and I think we will discuss next how parents can, offer the support to the children with this development disability or slowness soon. But before we move to that discussion, Sister Kuntia, you would like to raise any question, please?
Thank you, Sister Sophia. Okay, after listening to experienced mothers and expert of child development, we move to the Buddhism point of view. So I will raise a question to Venerable Master Kassapa. So what would the Buddha teach us about being a parenting? Please share with us. Thank you.
So very good evening from Cambodia, and very good morning to our friends in the United States. And let me pay my respect to the Triple Gem and dear Bhantes, Venerable Sirs, and dear devotees and friends in Dhamma around the globe, and the 3 speakers and the 2 moderators and the technical team behind the scene. So, as you mentioned, in Buddhism, we are not discussing about only the mothering. We are talking about parenting. So, but let me highlight this point that mothering must be highly appreciated and looked up on, because the sacrifice is immense. The sacrifice is speechless. Because being a mother, bearing, the womb for 10 months is not that an easy job. I know that, because Buddha also mentioned that it is the one of the huge suffering of being a woman. So it is hard, it's tough. That is why we should appreciate her sacrifice. So that is the point that Buddha compare the loving kindness, the great loving kindness can be compared or can be given the analogy to only mother's love. And the most important point you have to keep in mind is what she is doing is a great job, that she is converting her blood into the milk. So including me, the speakers who are in the show, the moderators, everyone who are watching us, please remember that the milk you drank is the blood of your mother. So that is why Buddhism emphasizes very significantly about the nutrition of the mother. Wherever she consumes will benefit the baby, or if the food is not that high quality, wherever she eats, will negatively, impact the baby development. So what I want to let you know is, this is the point that Buddhism says that mothering must be highly appreciated, because she is converting her blood into the milk. And from sociological point of view, we call it socialization. So there are many socialization agents or institutions. So the first and the foremost socialization institution is family. So when we are talking about the family, the mother and the father, the role of the mother and the father is very important. So let me say this. That is why every single of us must remember that family is, for me, is a great, is a sacred, holy, we can say, how to say the word, a factory. I'm sorry for using that word. Because what you are doing is human manufacturing. You will facilitate the best person from your family into the society. That is called socialization. That is why Buddhism emphasizes more and more important the role of the father and mother. That is why we call them Brahmati Mata Pitaro. So the father, the mother, and fathers are regarded as the gods, or Brahma. So Brahma is the god, is the head god of gods. And why they are regarded as Brahma or God? Because they have kindness. We call it metta, loving kindness, loving friendliness, compassion, karuna, mudita, sympathetic joy, and equanimity, upekha. So without practicing dhyana in the world, only mother and father has those qualities. Even the monk don't have those qualities because we don't have baby. So the quality that Buddha gives to the mother and father is because they have four mentalities. We call it four sublime states. First one is loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. So that is why they are highly respected, and they are worthy of offering. They are worthy of venerating from this point of view. So as I told you that, and they are our very first teacher, Pupacaryati Vujjare. So as everyone said that, we have to raise our. I'm sorry for using the word raise. We must nurture our kids in a very proper way. We let them learn the new skills, how to share them, the generosity or gratitude or being grateful to whatever you have. So these things, must be learned from the family. Schools, I'm not criticizing school, but they are not paying enough attention to educate our kids I mean, in terms of mental development or good qualities development, being kind, being compassionate, or generous, or grateful, these qualities must be taught from the family, from Buddhist point of view. And let me say this, because what goes around comes around. What you reap, you will sow. It means that eventually you will face up to the some consequences of your action. If you don't raise your kid, if you don't nurture your kid in a proper way, the person who will suffer more is you. If you let them give more values, to the things or chasing after the money, don't let them learn how to be grateful. Just remember, you will be old, you will be sick one day. So when you teach your kids how to be kind, compassionate, grateful, you are the one will be benefited from their good actions. So that is why Buddha mentioned that parents are the first teacher. And you mentioned that we can use different terms, role model, setting the example, all those stuff can be mentioned. But that is the Buddhist point of view. So, but from the Singalovada Sutta point of view, there are 5 duties of the parent. Let me say only few, because they are highly relevant for mothering. First one is restrain or prevent them from evil or bad deeds. So this is a job. So teachers won't do that for you. I mean, when they are at home. So you must teach them what is good, what is bad. It's from the family, especially from the mother. What to say? Because as you told that it's a role for the of the father. But to be honest, I'm a monk, and unfortunately, some fathers don't know their role. They misuse their role as a man. So the second one is you must encourage them to do good deeds. So as Sister Sukon and Sister Jenny said, and Nachimon mentioned, and our 2 moderators said, yes, you must send them to the temple. You must teach them to worship your mother. I mean, grandpa, grandma, respect brother, sister, how to express your love towards the pets, and how teach them to learn to love the environment, be eco-friendly, and so on. So this is what the Buddha wants from us. The real development from Buddhism is not only material development. I mean, that is why there is a statement: do not educate your child to be only rich, and or we can say to be educated. Must teach them to be happy, to be grateful, to be kind, to be compassionate, because they will know the value of things, not the price of things. So this is the Buddhist point of view. That what I want to say is mothering is a great job, because you are manufacturing a great man for the society. If you make a mistake, you will offer the world a bad person. So that is why mothers, fathers are highly respected. They are worthy of offering. So that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kante. Really excellent from your side. It's really good to raise about the 4 values of parents that the Bhante raised about the loving kindness, metta, compassion, karuna, mudita, sympathetic joy, and upekha, equanimity. It is the value of the parents that who will raise will be a good kindness. It will be to nurture the child to be in a good way, teach them to do good, and respect the grandmother or other. It will go around and comes around. It means to give respect, and then they also have the respect back. And it's really I learned that you said about the first teacher. The parent is the first teacher. It's really interesting that the first teacher, so the child will be grow well at the family level before they come to the socialization. So they will become a good citizen when they are grow very strong in the family level. So thank you very much, Pante. So Mutu Sapir, please go ahead with our question.
Thank you, sister, and thank you, Ponte, earlier for sharing a very great perspective from Buddha teachings. And so earlier, our speaker Natimon have shared a certain barrier to child development. And now let us talking about certain support that a parent should do, in case, we have children with development disability, or I would call development delay. So I would invite probably Sister Sakon. I know that you have to leave earlier. I'm not sure if this plan still proceed. Therefore, I would like to give the floor to you first, given your experience in social work for long as well. So you may able to share us how best parent can support the children in the condition of development delay or slowness, please.
Sure, thank you. The how if we have concerns about a child, you wanted to make sure that you pay closely attention to them to see, if your child is developing, is not the same pace like other children's, then I would just have, take to their pediatric, go to the doctor and check for their for see what's going on. So there are so many ways that parents can support their development. Just like Sister Nataman say, is of course there's some child that's born that comes with genetic, but there is way that we can do to help as a mom. Like I say, Venerable Gaspat had mentioned that we are the manufacturer, for our child. And like I say, we are just like if you look at it just like a tree, you have to water them in order to sprout out, to make it a fruit, a beautiful, to grow the leaf. And so there are so many ways that parents can support their development, disability development, or if they have a delayed child to progress. A child can learn various things, such as using their hands, touching things, or feel, it's through their sensories, or like hear things, music, reread to them, or they smell things. They can be able to tell, what is the smell? And they can learn through all those 5 senses. Their behavior changes as they encounter certain things. So we can help him and her practices skills they'll to help their motor skill, social and cognitive skills, such as like we can develop certain activities that they like, that they love to play, such as introducing game activities, with colors, alphabets. You can take it when you give them a bath, hang their, up some sticky numbers and alphabets, there, so they can recognize. You can sing A, apple, that's one, so that's, and they can catch on as you consistently doing that. And also like for their fine motor skills, you can teach them, to, color their books, color pictures, throw balls, or if they have problems with, with their big motor skills, you can help them to walk or stand or ride a bike or something like that. And then also have them interact more with children to help them with their social skills. Have, invite children that's the same age that they are, just come in and play with them. And then we as parents and siblings should always start, always communicate with them. So it may take them a little longer, but however, we as parents must have that patience to learn, right? To learn and interact together so we can all understand from his situation, his behavior. So just remember, they are special, right? And they like to do certain things, and then they do stress out, and not just us. And so we have to understand both ways. And you know what? Most importantly is that we have to give that love and that support for them. And now that, and also we should know that most important as parents, we also need to take good care of ourselves too, both physically and mentally, because we can go beyond, beyond like, I mean, I'm seriously. And so, so that we need to take care of physically and mentally and be aware of our condition and our behavior to continue to have that energy, you know, to continue to help and support that child each day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Sakon. And if you have business to handle now, you could excuse yourself, or you would like to stay, please continue with us. So thank you so much. It's a very useful tip. I think you know, a lot of insight you share involving the support around the development of 5 senses for the children, and especially. I think what you try to say is, you know, like try to build more association with them, you know, spend more time with them. I like that tip a lot. And I would like to hear from Natimon, given that you have given us some hint earlier already, but, you know, like, can you share us further the tip where parents can support children with development disability or delay, please?
Yes, thank you very much for this question. It is very useful question for parents, and to get the answer, hopefully it will be beneficial to help raising children properly. So to start with, I would like to say education is the most important factor in order to help the child development, both physically and mentally. And if there is any problem with the slow or delayed developing process, the parent should at least understand about the basic of a child development knowledge. So to know about all of these, it can be easy to learn from Google, from consulting with the specialists of child developing, and also there are some apps that can be used in order to check the information. For example, there is an app that parents can use in order to check the program of the food provided to children. That's called Pinterest. Pinterest that contains so many useful information that is similar as Google. So parents can download it or install it to use and check it regularly in order to know how to help the children develop. Okay, so one more important thing is some children, they are special children that is hard and it is out of control. Sorry, I have a problem with sore throat. So this is the factor that parents should pay close attention to it, because the special kids or the slow developing kids can be because of the information provided earlier based on nutrition, hygiene, because they didn't have proper vaccine, or because the parents have aggressive mind. And sometimes when the baby is born, they cannot born naturally, so need help with, I don't know what to say, the proper word, like pumping the baby from the mother vagina, so it affects the brain of the kid, so which can cause the slow learning developing process. So with this, parents can discuss with the teacher or discuss with the child's doctor to know how to help them. For example, they start with the easy thing, like Sister Sakon also mentioned, and this is about helping them to know the color, to count the number, something like that. Because I meet a real situation. Son of my friend, he is in Australia, and he want, yes. So the story is he get married to a wife, a Cambodian wife, and the Cambodian wife had 2 kids already with the other husband. So they divorced, they have 2 kids. So he helped his wife to bring 1 kid to Australia, and another kid, he has problem. He couldn't get the visa because they need to check with the bio at the center. So need to have the check about the mental development as well. So they check about the color, what color is that, check the eyesight, check the understanding about like count, like math, 2 plus 2 equal how many. Actually, he's already 9 years old, and he couldn't know all the colors, he couldn't do math. So even though finally he will get the visa, but the thing is they need proper check-up and in order to get the record about the information of the child. So I talk about this to have a real story to share, that for child developing mentally or physically, it related to how they know the color, they know the number, they know some easy things. Yes, if they are a bit older, but they don't know even simple things like that, then it means that their brain have problem. So then the doctor asked me, because I brought him to check, she asked me what's the problem with the kid, because they're slow developing mentally. And I told her situation that he was not born naturally because he was too big in the mother's womb and need to have something like to help to take him out, which affect to the brain. And that I got information from the mother, so the doctor can understand that. Yes. So with this, have to be patient. The mother and the father have to be patient, because we cannot force things that is not under control. So we have to be patient. Yes. So to sum up is 1, to have education. 2 is to discuss with the doctor and the teacher. And 3rd one is to be patient to help the child developing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natimon. And I think what is useful about education nowadays with advanced technology, we can Google or use app like you have advised. So I hope parents who are listening can get a certain tip, from our discussion so far. And yes, to remind to our audience and especially Dhamma friend, if you have any question, feel free to leave comment on our page. We will read through later on so that we can pose the question to our speaker as well. So last but not least, Sister Jenny, you have a very enriched experience working with children. So I believe that you may come across to this, discussion about the child with development disability or slow or delay. So can you share us any suggestion where parents can support their children with that condition?
Sure. I think that Mong Sakan and Natimon they made a very good point that we live in the modern world now. We're very fortunate that there are professionals out there that can help us. So do not be afraid to advocate for our children and find outside resources that can help. But ultimately, it comes down to us as parents too. We have to be aware of what's going on. When we talk to the doctor, they're going to ask us questions, and the more that they know, the more that they can help us. So one thing also is I want to emphasize is that children with disabilities or children with delays, oftentimes we think of them as being their disability is a problem. All of us have problems. All of us have strengths, and all of us have weaknesses. And so it's really important for us to kind of understand that they may have weaknesses in some ways, but there are strengths in them. And I have worked with children with developmentally delays, and one of the things that you have to remember, like I mentioned, is that you want to find their strength, and you want to uplift them by teaching them to their strengths and being aware of their weaknesses as well, so that you can kind of help it all balance out. And our world is very diverse, so their weaknesses or their strength is something that it's oftentimes we don't recognize. So children, especially now with many children are being diagnosed with autism, and children with autism, they see the world very, very differently than the average person. And one example is that they're very linear thinking. And so they could be amazing in math. I think that Einstein, for example, was diagnosed with autism, and he's, as we know, he's a genius, right? He's very smart, but he has his social development is a weakness. And so, he didn't understand social cues. Some of the things that we take for granted as the average person are those social cues, right? We notice when a person's happy by smiling. We can tell when somebody's making a joke, we know that it's a joke. But for people with autism, they may not understand those things. And so they come off sometimes as rude and as disrespectful, because when you say a joke, they're not laughing because they don't understand it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. It's us who project our thinking that there's something wrong with them. And that's not the case at all. We know of people who have maybe lived, be in a wheelchair. In Cambodia, there are people who unfortunately have been affected by mines and have lost limbs, but yet they know how to paint with their, I've seen videos of people painting with their mouth, so they develop new skills. And again, it's something that us average folks that we take for granted, but we also need to be aware that there are strengths, and that's where we can respect people or children with developmental delays. And like Venerable Kasapat said, us mothers, we make a lot of sacrifices, including if our children have developmental delays. For instance, if our children is deaf, one of the things that could really help them is learning sign language. And we know that children who have another outlet to communicate, they fare better in the everyday world. And so, just because you don't sign language, you may want to pick up on sign language, and learning how to better communicate and giving your child those tools is very, very important. And, just remember that, again, try not to think of your children as being a problem, or try not to think of them as, I think that sometimes we put too much pressure on ourselves. And again, we compare our children to each other, and it puts us in a more negative state of mind. Just focus on our children's well-being and our own well-being, and know what we can do to help them. I have an example. My son, he is considered gifted, So it just kind of, I'm not comparing him to Einstein here, but when I mentioned that he's in the gifted program, people, oh, you're so lucky, he's so smart, and things like that. And I say, you know, there are some challenges that come along with it. And for me, the challenges is that he thinks so differently from me. And oftentimes I get really impatient. Oftentimes it's very frustrating, to say the least. And I just need to remember that my son communicates differently. I need to know how to best communicate with him. And now he's 10 years old, and now after talking with his teachers, talking with his doctor, I feel good about how I can help him. I feel good about having the tools, and I realize there's nothing wrong with him. You know, he may be advanced in math, but he's not so advanced in reading and writing especially. But, you know, I try not to get frustrated with it, and I try just to support him and just encourage him, make it fun for him. Like I said, children learn best through play. And so I let him write things that interest him, even though it doesn't interest me. But it's very important to let your children guide themselves and finding joy. And children with disabilities, sometimes they think of the world very differently because they have to, right? That certain parts of their brain aren't working, and so it overcompensate, and they have a skill somewhere else. So a lot of the times these children may be advanced in music, in art, in drawing, because that is a very different way of using the brain. And so my advice is, again, just like the others have said, be patient, look for your children's strength, and continue to support them with love and with compassion. And most of all, I think sometimes it's important to be patient or to forgive yourself. As parents, we're going to make mistakes. And we need to have space to acknowledge it, recognize that, oh man, I lost my temper. But when we recognize that, again, we have the tools, like with meditation and mindfulness, we know how to calm ourselves down. We recognize why we're so impatient. We recognize what happened, and therefore we try not to. All good habits take a long time to develop. I learned this the hard way. But you know, through good habits, through practicing forgiveness and allowing yourself to, or just being compassionate towards yourself as well as you go through this with your child is really, really important.
Thank you so much, Sister Jenny. You give us a very crucial message. I like the fact that you give us a very, different insight how we should look at the child development. Probably it's just a matter of, being different. So it requires us to communicate with them differently. Sometimes we make our own assumption as probably as a normal, daily business, but with kids that have a very uniqueness, with special strength, but they may have certain weakness. So the best advice, like you and Natimon, as well as Sister Sakon had mentioned earlier, I captured the word very rightly that you use many times, being patient, as a parent. It is very important, and to do so, we need to be mindful ourselves, learn to control ourselves too. Sometimes we could be too overreact ourselves, and that's why, as the Buddha teaches, I think it was you, Sister Jenny, who highlighted that the Buddha also teaches us, to learn how to control ourselves. We can only control ourselves, we cannot control others. So that is the best advice. Well, probably we have to also hear the insight from Ponte, from the Buddhist perspective. How would Buddha say on this matter of child development, and any advice on this discussion, Ponte, please?
Yeah, thank you, Sister, for the question about poor development stages or kids who are in delayed development. To be honest, Buddha never mentioned about that. But let me share my own experiences, because I'm running a center, child development center for special needs children. So when we are talking about the delayed development, or in psychology it is called poor development stages, it can be defined, in terms of poor cognitive development, physical development, biological development. It can be said that genetical development and social development, and the final one is, this is my point, spiritual development. So in that center, in my center, we facilitate parents who are having children with special needs. So this is the new term used by a health organization. We don't use disabled kids or kids with disability. No, we don't use that. We use they are differently able or special needs children. So what I am providing is, to be honest, what we are trying to change is their physical development and biological development and social development. And the point that I am trying, I'm talking about the special needs children. Let me talk about this first. When our children are special needs children, what you have to do is, to be honest, you cannot change, for example, ADHD, or like sister mentioned, autism and so forth. There are many disorders that kids are suffering from. So when they are in that stages, when it is incorrigible, what you have to do is, from this point of view, you have to accept the reality. And the three speakers mentioned about patience. Let me mention equanimity. You learn to remain equanimous, accepting the reality that it is incorrigible. It cannot be changed. This is the nature of, we can say, the nature of the karma. So the karma is about cause and effect. So this is the consequences that we have to face up to. So this is the point. What I'm saying is about kids with special need, okay? Because they're born with the brain damage, or the brain function is very poor. The brain function is very dysfunctional. So when we are having kinds of kids, what you have to practice from this point of view is equanimity. But let me say this: even cognitively or physically or socially, they are dysfunctional. But please remember this: but their mind is clear. This is from this point of view. Even they cannot express, even they cannot understand in the ways that other kids do, but they have emotion. So you have to create a platform that you can connect emotion between emotion. So that is why we have to be kind from this point of view. We have to be compassionate. We have to be generous. Even they cannot write, they cannot read, they cannot learn like other kids, but they can feel what you are doing. Kids with special need. And that is why I'm providing spiritual development. We teach them how to meditate, to yoga, and we share with them how to practice, to be honest, observe morality and to be grateful to the parents, worship the parents. So they can do all stuff, and even they can dance. So I'm talking about kids with special needs. But let me say this, parents are very, much more concerned about only the physical disability, or when their children are in poor development stages, like, they cannot run, they cannot speak, they cannot write, they cannot go to school. Like, no, this is what we are worrying about. But in Buddhism, no, it's not that only the point. You must be more concerned about delayed development of spirituality. If your kid cannot be kind, compassionate, generous, grateful, this is the point where that you must be very concerned. If your son or daughter is very stubborn and very aggressive, very, we can say, cruel. So this is the point that the mother and the fathers must be concerned that my children is in poor spiritual development. I must do something. That is, we have to remember, because we focus on education. My kids cannot get high marks, cannot, the children, they are reading their BA, reading their MA, but my kids, no, even can't read. So I'm not saying that you must worry, but you also must be concerned about spiritual development, whether they are kind or not, whether they are compassionate or not, whether they are grateful or not. So this is what the Buddhist point of, this is what I have learned, because I read psychology and I studied developmental psychology, and they are talking only about biological, physical, or cognitive development. They never talk about spiritual development. So, but Buddhism emphasizes more, again, very importantly, to the spiritual development. So, when your son or daughter, can't write or read, yes, you must worry. But when they are not kind, when they are not compassionate, when they are not generous, when they are not grateful, when they don't learn to respect mother, father, your grandpa, your teacher, this is the point. This is the fact that you must be more concerned about from Buddhist point of view. So I have more to talk, but because of the time restraint, let me stop.
Thank you, Bhante.
And this is what I want to say. Okay.
Thank you, Bhante. It's a lot of things that should be taken into consideration to nurturing the children, and pay attention to development of children. So one question, it's really good question from the audience who named Sunny Kula Sidday. Sorry if I'm spelling your name wrong. He asked that being a parent, how can we teach children to know about the Dhamma in the childhood, from the childhood? So he want to know this question. So Bhante, please give him an advice shortly. Thank you.
Okay, so if you want to teach your daughter or son when she or he is in the womb of the mother, father and mother must read, must meditate, must listen to the teaching of the Buddha. Not only teaching of the Buddha, you can listen to different talks that develop your brain, develop your intellect, develop your wisdom. So especially mother, it will affect your son or daughter in the womb. So it is a collective responsibility. You cannot let mother do her job and father, stay free. No, it's about collective responsibility. Father can read loudly, out loud, to let the mother hear, and also the baby in the womb hear. So let me recap that you must read, you must meditate, you must listen to the Dhamma talk, you must read more about good books. So this is my advice. That's all.
Thank you, Bhante, for your answering the question. So I hope he will get the answer that the parents should meditate, should listen to the Dhamma in the early stage that the children in the womb. So it is necessary that he can hear what they heard. So when they come out, they can also familiar with the word they have listened to. They also interesting to read the Dhamma at the early stage. Thank you. So please wrap up everything tonight. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sister. And our Dhamma talk now come to the end. I'm very thankful to our speaker, all the sister, Sister Sakon, Sister Natimon, Sister Jenny, also Ponte Kasapa for spending your time and sharing a very helpful insight for tonight's discussion. Also thank to Sister Bobka, who kindly offer technical support as always so that our Dhamma talk could be possible. Last but not least, our sincere thanks to Ponte Soktivi, who have tirelessly instructed and supported us. Without his initiative, guidance, and encouragement, this show would not be possible. So now, before we end, we would like to invite all Dhamma friends to join us for Metta meditation, in which Ponte Kasapa will be leading, and may the merit from our sharings tonight be shared with all living beings. I'm Sophia, together with Sister Kuntia as co-moderator tonight. We would like to thank you and goodbye. Our Metta meditation begins.
Hello everyone. Let us practice loving friendliness meditation for oneself. Self-loving friendliness meditation is the first section of Metta meditation. Self-loving friendliness meditation is designed to direct you to happily take care of yourself, to honestly forgive yourself, to truly accept yourself without conditions. Before starting, please find a very comfortable posture. Close your eyes. Relax your head, your shoulders, your arms, and your entire body. Please slowly take a very deep breath 3 times. When it is done, let your breath flow as naturally as it does. Observe your breath without judgment, reactions, and criticism. Just merely observe it as the way it is while you are listening to my Pali Metta chanting. Aham Now, please Create a very tender smile on your face. Visualize your happy and smiling face. You are very happy person with smiling face. Please keep smiling with honest heart, because you are going to bless yourself. Please be aware of the phrases which I am going to recite, and let yourself honestly feel the real meanings of the phrases. May I be well and happy. May I be free from hatred. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from anger. May I be free from physical and mental sufferings. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. May I take care of myself happily. Now, take your right hand and place it on your chest, and you can mentally repeat after me. In this home, we are family. We live under the same shelter, so we must be kind to each other, be compassionate to each other, be friendly to each other, help each other, respect one another, be happy every day, keep smiling with honest heart, be grateful, be positive, forgive even when it's really hard. Before open your eyes, please take again a very deep breath 3 times.